It is my pleasure to welcome new Iona University head basketball coach Tobin Anderson to the IonaHoops.com podcast. Coach, welcome to Iona and welcome to the pod.
Thank you, Guy. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be on the podcast.
So everyone who starts off interviews with you these days goes right into FDU Purdue. That's the day you became more of a household name for everybody for sure. But on this podcast, we do things a little different, and I'm going to prove it. 4 years ago to this day, the Iona message board was talking about possible replacements for Tim Cluess. At the time, we all kind of assumed Jared Grasso was going to come back and get the job or whatever. But I posted on the message board 4 years ago to that day, April 11th, 2019, and I quote, "If it's not Grasso, I want Tobin Anderson." Now, how about that? So here we are, 4 years to the day. You're the Iona coach, and you're sitting here talking to me. I just had to get it out there because we keep it real on this podcast. So
I appreciate the support. Like, I guess you're the first guy to jump on board, so I do appreciate that.
So, of course, you were a finalist for the Iona job back in 2020 when instead Iona went with some unknown named Rick Pitino over you. The nerve of Iona doing that. But let's revisit these past few weeks for you. It's been quite the whirlwind for Iona. It's also been quite the whirlwind for you. I know you've been asked about different aspects of Purdue. I know we have to start there. But I'm going to throw hopefully a different kind of question out to you about that game. What happened during the game that maybe was a surprise to you that, obviously you knew you needed to play well. You needed certain things to go well in the game for you to have a chance. But was there something that was going on during the game that you were like, I didn't see that coming?
Yeah, I think it was kind of the fact that they had a couple guys who were highly acclaimed high school players that were, either top 100 players or Mr. Basketballs that literally looked afraid to make plays in a big game like that. And so I think when the game started, we were just hoping to hang around. And then, you saw a couple guys who you thought could be dangerous players for them not miss a couple shots and start getting hesitant. So it was amazing how, and I use this term very respectfully, fragile they were kind of like for a team for an unbelievable team, for a team that won the Big Ten by 4 games. Like, you'd think he'd just come out and just bulldoze us and put us away and it wouldn't be an issue. And it was like, the more we kind of hung around, even the first half, it was kind of like they were like surprised we were still there. And like we had a pretty good year where, we had won. We had won 20 at that point. We'd played great 2 nights ago, prior to that against Texas Southern. So we had we're not just a gimmick or something. And so I think the first half, the fact that they were kind of like tentative even then was a surprise to me. And like it gave our guys confidence that we could play with them. In a game like that, like you get down 12-2 and they kind of exert their will, it's easy to just kind of say, hey, they're the number one seed, they're the Big Ten champions. We don't belong at this level. And we got confidence by being there the whole way through. So I was pretty surprised by our confidence because we were very confident. It was not nothing, like the coaching staff did. Our guys just, felt like they belonged, and the lack of their confidence at a certain point, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, no. And was there something on your side that you saw that was going on that you didn't see coming?
Sean Moore played great. The 3-man, he was just terrific. He was, he's from Ohio. So we had played Findlay, a Division II team in Ohio the prior year, and he had like 18-8. And then against Texas Southern, he was fantastic. So it's kind of like maybe just to play more games in Ohio for him because he's from Ohio. So, I mean, he was just unbelievable the whole time we were out there. And like he had a look in his eye, kind of like, hey, I'm going to be the best guy on the floor tonight. And he played like it. So he came into the game averaging like 7 or 8 points a game, not having an unbelievable year. And he played like a player of the year, potential All-American player. And that's what it takes sometimes, And we always saw it in him, but it was the first time I think he saw for himself how good he could be. So I think it was good to see a guy like that. Really, our guards were good. We had really good guards. So I was not surprised they played well, but the way Sean played was a big thing for us.
Okay. All right. So I have to throw this out there. Valvano, Kennedy, Welsh, Ruland, Willard, Cluess, Pitino. That's a heck of a list of coaches right there. Yep. All of these guys combined have fewer NCAA tournament wins at Iona than you had at FDU. I just want to throw that out there. Just no pressure or anything, just saying. Just got to make sure I have to say that. That's all.
Well, I appreciate you saying that because that is a true statement. So I mean, their combined have a lot more wins than I do overall. Yeah, it is a true statement, and I guess that's my but I'll go to war with with those numbers. So that's a good thing, you know.
So you're following a Hall of Famer, considering one of the college game's greatest coaches ever, one of the greatest innovators the game's ever seen. How do you follow? How do you do that? How do you follow them?
Well, it's funny because when I was up for the interview last time, 4 years ago, I was like, well, how do you follow Tim Cluess? I mean, Tim Cluess, what he had done was incredible. So I'm like, man, I would not want to follow Tim Cluess. That's a guy you do not want to follow, right? Then they hired, of course, Hall of Famer Rick Pitino. Not easy to follow either. So, I mean, I don't think there's any coach at Iona that you don't want you want to follow for the most part. They've all been very successful. So, I think there's the fact that you got to be yourself. I don't, we're going to play how we play. We're going to do things how we do things. I can't be Rick Pitino. I can't be Tim Cluess. I've talked to all of them, which was the good part. I've talked to, I think, every one of those guys you named. I've talked to on the phone at some point in the last 2 weeks, which is great.
Yeah.
And they've all said the same thing. There's something about Iona, it goes beyond the coaching, beyond the X and O's, beyond it's a place that's built for winning. So as a coach, that makes you feel good that there is things in place here to be successful. And I think people have to understand when you're a coach and you're wired to coach, you want to win all the time anyway. So there's no pressure. Like I said at my press con, I feel pressure watching my son run cross country. I feel pressure watching my daughter in a dance recital trying to get a perfect score. I can't control that, right? As a coach, I got a little bit more control over things. I can kind of control our staff, who we recruit, how we play, how we practice. So I got a lot more control. So, and we want to win all the time anyway. So I'm not thinking to myself, well, I got to follow Pitino. We want to win because we want to win, and like I said a few times, my other interviews, like once you've been to the tournament and you've won, it's such an addictive thing. It's such a wonderful thing that you want to get back there and do it again. And I want our players to experience that. I want our program to experience that. I want our fans to experience that. And I want to experience. I want to get back there and do that again. I mean, there's just a lot of great things about that. So I don't think there's any difference in who you follow for the most part. I mean, does it make it easier sometimes following a guy who's not a great coach? Maybe so, but like that program usually has problems too.
Yeah. Okay. So we every Iona fan I know has been kind of following you around all these on the interview or two that you've been on here, all these interviews you've been doing, people have been watching. So we know the story about how you got the Iona job. You got a text from President Carey after the day after FEU, and the rest is history. But obviously the groundwork for this was laid back in 2020, right?
Yep. No, we had developed a good relationship then, and we'd always stayed in touch. And I think part of the deal is you kind of think that Coach Pitino might not stay. Although he said he would stay, pretty good vibe that he wouldn't stay for a super long time. So it could come open again, and it's a job that I wanted. It's a job that there's a lot of people, after making our run, and even the success before the tournament was pretty good too. So there's a lot of people reaching out. This is a job that I wanted. It's a place I wanted to be. So it kind of worked both ways there.
Okay. And I'm going to guess the overwhelming majority of people listening to this have no D1 coaching experience. So take us through it. You've been offered the job. It's been a few weeks now. You have to manage everything. You have to deal with all the guys who were on the team. You have to recruit. You have to figure out your staff. Take us through that process and how quickly things happened in your mind.
For Iona?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So, well, because the funny part is we just went through it 10 months ago or 11 months ago when I had FTU, the exact same, kind of the same thing going from Division II, Division I. So most of my staff who came from Stack from St. Thomas has come with me to Iona. So we have a year. I'm a much better coach now and ready for this job by being at FTU for a year, because I kind of saw the Division I, what it's like, the scheduling, the flow, how things work. Like I'm better my staff is way better for going through that too. So, yeah, it's great that we had a year there, getting that experience. So yeah, putting the staff together is huge. But like for me, I brought 3 guys from FTU. I brought Ray Savage, our DBO. I brought Tom Bonnick. I brought Cam Morrell. I brought a great bunch of guys with me. Jack Castleberry stayed to be the FTU head coach. And I brought a guy that I knew Pat Wallace from Loyola Chicago, who I've known for a long time. So that came together pretty quickly. Obviously, the next part is the roster, and we're still obviously figuring that whole thing out. That's the next part of things, like who's staying, who's coming, who's going, what's the situation. So that part's been a little more of up and down thing. And most places you go to, they have a group of guys who's staying, whether it's 6, 5, 4, this is a whole different animal because for the most part, everybody's left, and it's one of the things I'm most proud about when I've left jobs. Like when I left Stack, they went 25 and 26 and 5 this year. We had put in a culture that was used to winning, and that culture persevered whether Tobin Anderson was there or the next coach was there. At FDU, we left FDU, and they're going to be very good again next year. Iona's been good, but like there's not much foundation here that was left, so we're kind of having to build it from scratch. That's just reality. It's just what it is. So I have no problem with that. It's a challenge, but it's it's a little bit different. Instead of recruiting 5 or 6 or 7 guys, we're trying to get 12, and that's a little bit different of a challenge. But it's listen, we're not going to stop working or until we get it figured out.
That was one thing I was going to ask you. Is there was just based on what we see online one holdover. Is that going to stay true, or is he going to?
Man, I hope so. I hope so. He's a wonderful. And then here's the thing, too, guy. They're all wonderful. They're great kids. They're wonderful kids. There's sometimes you take over a program. There's a couple guys where jerks got in trouble. That's not the case at all. They're good kids. So I wish them all well going someplace else. Yeah, we love Oz. Hope Oz stays. He's terrific. He's been in the gym working. We're not doing a lot of, we can't do a whole team workout, but we've had him in there working, and he's a great kid. And yeah, we hope he ends up staying and will be a big part of things. We see him fitting into our style of play very well. How we're going to do things. We saw a few guys fitting in our style of play, but sometimes, it's hard. We're new.
Yeah.
So they don't know us as well. So the one good thing is they saw us play in the NCAA tournament at FDU. So it's like, this is a good style. If you're a player who likes to play fast and likes offense and likes up tempo and likes to be aggressive and attack, it's a great style for those guys. So I think a couple guys, could have thrived in this system, but they chose otherwise, and I can't control that. So we move on and find other guys that are out there.
If certain guys, I can't say all guys, but if certain guys that went to the portal wanted to come back, would you be willing to take certain ones back?
Maybe that's a conversation we'd have to have, for sure. No, listen, I'm open to anything. At this stage, we're open to all situations, each guy's kind of on their own, kind of doing their own thing. And I think like anybody, sometimes they get good advice, sometimes they get bad advice. And the portal is a place where, like, I'm not sure all the things that happen there are true. And like you hear rumors and there's stories and there's NIL money and things like that. It's almost like if you're not in the portal, you're not really sure what's true, what's not true. So let's go check out what's happening there. Well, you go check out things. We're going to check out things too. And does that all come back together again? I don't know, but no, we're open to all situations. Like I said, they're all good kids. There's no problems academically at all. There's no problems as far as getting in trouble off the court. So that part's good. So yeah, we're the first day we had workouts, we had 6 or 7 guys there, and I was hoping those 6 or 7 would stay the same, and it didn't. So it happens. That's the life of college basketball. It's a little bit tougher challenge than we thought, but nothing we can't handle.
Before we get into more on the portal about what you might be looking for in there, let's keep it broad. I'll give you the soapbox for a minute. Is the portal good or bad for college basketball? And while you're on it, go ahead and share your thoughts about NIL.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, it's hard for me to say the portal's bad. I just left a job after 1 year at FDU. So I'd be hypocritical to say that you can't go in the portal after 1 year, because I just went to FDU and they just gave me a tremendous job. So I think for any young man or woman, you're trying to find the best situation, right? So if you don't think you're in the best situation for you athletically, academically, socially, that you should be stuck in a situation you don't like. So the portal can be a good thing. The portal can be a great thing for someone who's not getting enough playing time, roles different, not fitting in with the staff, things like that, right? It can also be a bad thing where people who, obviously for guys who can, like, for example, right? My guard, Grant Singleton, who played for me at FDU, had a great NCAA tournament, was one of the best players on the court every night. He had tremendous success. He averaged like 3 points a game as a freshman, played like 8 minutes a game. He could have gone, today's day and age, he'd gone to the portal and gone someplace else. He stuck around, hung in there, became a starter the next year, was a Division II All-American, comes to FDU, ends up being a 14-point-a-game scorer, has a great year. And all because he kind of just said, you know what, I need to get better. I need to fight through some things. I need to suck it up. So that part of guys leaving when there's a little bit of adversity, a little bit of a challenge, things are not going perfectly, that part's not good. You know, so it depends on why you're going to the portal, you know, and then like, you talk about NIL money, it's like same thing. A person should not choose a school, a player should not choose a school based on NIL. It should be based on the school, the quality of school, the fit with the coaching staff, the style of play, the tradition. And then if there's some NIL money in addition to that, I think that's a good thing. You know, like they should be compensated. We're all, you know, I'm compensated well, coaches are compensated well. The players should get a piece of the pie. I have no problem with that at all. But if that's the only thing that's driving your decision, then that's going to be a problem down the road, because if the fit's not good, if the coaching, the relationship's not good, if the tradition, the style, all that kind of stuff's not good, or the academic piece is not good, it's not going to work out in the long run. And like at the end of the day, you got 4 years to play college basketball. You kind of need to get it right. If not the first time, for sure the second time. And so, yeah, you know, obviously I'm a guy who's, I watch a lot of MAC games. I watch a lot of A10 games. I watch Division III games. I watch Division II games. I know most of the players that are out there. I see a lot of guys making bad decisions on portal stuff, but I also see some guys making good decisions too. So it's like, you can't say it's all good, all bad. It's up to the individual. But I think there's a little bit of the idea that, hey, let's go test the waters just to test the waters. That's not a good decision, I don't think.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we're going to have an all-time high of kids entering the portal this year. High majors, mids, low majors, D2 kids. Yep. How do you make sense of it all? I mean, I'm one of those idiots that I see kids in the portal. I'm not even coaching, but I'm like, ooh, you know, I like a kid like going grocery shopping or something. I'm guessing you're a bit more focused. You have certain things that you're looking for. Obviously, you're looking for something to fit your system, but what is that? Somebody in the portal, especially, could be different. Could be a senior, could be a sophomore. But what are you looking for when you look for somebody in the portal?
I'm a big relationship guy. So like for me, I don't like recruiting a kid I don't know, or I don't know of them as far as like their coach, their AU coach, their played for a friend of mine, something like that. So for me, like our first thing was like, let's find guys we know. Let's not just go to the portal and start calling every guy in the portal and just chasing guys down. So we started off with guys you know, either played against them in the conference or recruited them before, or have a good relationship with a coach or something like that, right? So then it's style of play. Then it's like who fits into that. And style of play is not just, it's also how do you fit into our program. So we are a basketball pro. I mean, I'm a son of a coach. I live in a gym. I'm a gym rat. Like, we're going to work hard. Like, we got to find guys who love basketball. If you don't love basketball, you shouldn't come to Iona. You know, and that love can be not as to be like I'm crazy. Like, they don't have to be as crazy as I am, but like, you got to like working hard, being in the gym, getting better, being part of something bigger than yourself, being able to sacrifice, be unselfish, certain characteristics that go beyond the basketball stuff. You know, you got to be a good person, do the right things, high character. And then you got to be able to play our system, which is up tempo. We like to press. We like to play fast. We like open post motion. We like to get the ball moving, be hard to guard. So we look for guys that fit those qualities. But we've been able to find guys throughout my career, especially at Stack and at FDU, that no matter what their skill set was, we can find a way to blend them into how we play. We had a 5-man at FDU this year. Our starting 5-man was a great shooter. That's the best thing he did was shoot the ball, 3-point shooter. His backup couldn't make a shot outside of 5 feet, right? But they both were really good for us because they were different. One guy was a shooter, one guy was more of a roller, a post guy, a physical guy. So we can make do no matter what. But the part that I can't compromise is the hard work, high character, good kid, do the right things. I love guys with a high basketball IQ, guys who come from good programs. Winning programs is important to us. Want guys that win. Like when I brought my guys from FDU or from Stack to FDU, those guys were used to winning. You know, besides the fact they're good players, they knew how to prepare for practice, prepare for games, prepare for the season. They had winning characteristics that made them good players. So we want guys that are used to winning and doing the right things. And they know what a good locker room looks like. They know what a good practice looks like. They know what a good preparation looks like. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that go into that, but those intangibles are hard to beat.
So in this world of the portal, people forget, hey, there's still high school kids out there. There's still JUCO players out there. You were able to re-recruit a couple of your commits from FDU to join us at Iona. I know you can't comment since they haven't signed yet, but they seem like good fits for your system. But I'm going to ask, so I'll ask more broad question. In this age of the portal, how has that changed how you recruit high school kids or even JUCOs?
Yeah, so you'll find out. I can't divulge any information at this point, but there will be. I love our high school class coming in, and it goes beyond. We've actually got some good news today. Today's a good day for us, so we got some good news. We can't really, probably won't nothing will come out for a while.
Okay,
but no, especially the high school front. There we have some guys. So with the situation we're in, building a whole new team, there's got to be two thought processes. One is the long term, right, which is high school guys going to get better, going to improve, still can play for us next year, but have a chance to be really good players down the road and help us into the future. And then also the short term is we need some older guys who can play mature enough, strong enough, experienced enough to play right away. So we're trying to balance both. Like, what's the long term? What's the short term? I do think what you kind of alluded to is there's more value right now in high school guys who are being under recruited because people are relying on the portal to solve problems. Where if you do your work early, do a good job recruiting, you can find great high school players that back in November and October are being undervalued because everybody's going to wait for the portal. And you get those guys early, like the guys we had signed when they decommitted, they were getting recruited by all kinds of mids to high majors. And we stole them early because nobody else was on them. So our staff is committed to finding good young high school players that we think are good for our system, that can be really good for us, and then supplement that with the portal and the transfers and things like that. And obviously this year more of an emphasis on transfers because of the fact that we have to fill some major holes right away. But I think there's a lot. I'm with you. There's a lot of good high school players out there that are being under recruited, and we're definitely gonna spend some time on high school players.
And what how about your approach to junior college players? Is it similar?
Similar, very similar. Yep. I mean, I got the job on Monday. By Tuesday, my top assistant Tom Bonica was in Hutchinson, Kansas for the National Junior College National Tournament. He was there. We flew back from Columbus, and he was happy to see his family. And then he said, "Well," I said, "Hey, I'm going to Iona. We're all going to Iona." And he's like, I said, "You got to be in Hutchinson tomorrow night for the tournament." So he flew there the next day. So we think there's a lot of value in junior college players too. It's when those guys had COVID years, a lot of them had 3 years instead of 2. That was a big advantage. Now we're kind of back to having 2 years. I prefer to have a guy with 3 years or 4 years, but we'll still find good junior college players.
Okay. Well, for I guess each level, this is probably true. The big schools kind of get their pick of the litter first. Do you almost intentionally then, and this is just trying to understand the whole philosophy of recruiting the portal for especially, do you almost wait it out a little bit and see, okay, there's this really good player that nobody's picked up. What are they missing? Is it almost some of that involved too, that you kind of just see what's left and what you can go chase then? Because all of a sudden those kids are thinking, oh, I should have gone high major. I didn't go. So now they're available to you.
Yeah, you got to be patient. Like, I know that there's probably a groundswell of people saying, "Hey, let's get guys signed right now. You need a team right now." It's April. What is April? It's April 11th, right? So, and we've been through this before. It's not our first rodeo, so to speak. So it's like the mistakes you make sometimes are mistakes you make by being in a hurry or by jumping at things that aren't there for you. So we're going to be patient. I'm not super patient, but patient enough to make sure it's the right guys. And like you said, there are guys right now who are being recruited at a really high level that I think will come back down to where we can recruit them. There's also guys that are we're digging up on guys that are being recruited, at our level or below, who we think are better than that. So we're trying to get them more involved too. So, because I think recruiting is evaluations. We're not going off of a top 100 or top 200 or 4-star or 3-star. It's like who fits. I mean, like you look at the Iona roster. I don't think Walter Clayton was too high a claim coming into Iona. Ends up being the MAC Player of the Year. JV McCollum at Siena, who we scrimmaged against this year, was not too highly acclaimed going to Siena. Ends up being one of the best guards in the conference. So it's about evaluating and taking your time and doing your research and watching tape and making phone calls and doing all that kind of stuff and not jumping to the first person who's available.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, and I like you said it exactly right. There are fans who are like, "When are we going to get a commit? I'm seeing all these commits flying around," and it's like, I like to be like the buffer, and Brian will tell you this too. If the fans get too high, I like to bring them down a little bit. If they get too low, I like to bring them back up. So that's kind of the role
Well,
I serve in my spot.
as a buffer, tell everybody just not to panic. We're in good shape. We're doing better than Twitter thinks we are right now. I feel I wouldn't be doing this interview if I didn't feel fairly confident about which the direction we're heading into. So I'd be like I'll be on like 10 more Zooms tonight, but I feel very confident about the direction we're heading. I feel very good about what's going on. You just can't publicly say a whole lot right now,
Right.
and that's why you got to keep things quiet. But I think by the time we get to our roster, people will be excited about where we're heading.
Just a quick thing. I also want to kind of prove to some fans too. I don't know. There's maybe been about 15 or 20 reports of Iona contacting players in the portal. In reality, that number is like at least triple that, right?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, like I got Pat Wallace, my assistant from Loyola. He's a machine. I mean, I think he's talked to every guy in the portal, and then I mean, he just talks to everybody out there. Like, I'll be like, "Hey, how's this kid?" I talked to him this morning. I told him like, it was so weird. No, we've talked to. I can't tell you how many guys I talked to. It's been a lot. So yeah, you can't believe all that stuff. And some guys, like you said, some of the higher level guys may not include you right now,
Yeah,
but give them about a week, and all of a sudden you're maybe in the top of their list. And
that's right.
things move dramatically on a day by day basis. So we just try to hang in there. And that's the good thing about having an experienced staff and our experience and going through it last year at FTU is we're not going to get too high, too low. But we want to we want to put together a team that can compete for a MAC championship next year. Like that's there's no hey, we're gonna it's not there's no 4-year project. There's no, this is like we want to win right now. And so there's enough guys out there. We're trying to find the right guys, but we feel good, and we're hitting everybody, man. If they had the phone logs or the phone bills, I mean, our phones it is non-stop. But we feel good about it.
Okay, so let's switch to non-conference scheduling. That's another
Yep.
always big topic. And the last three NN coaches, Willard, Cluess, and Patino, had very unique approaches to non-conference scheduling. Willard didn't mind playing guarantee games, also getting us into those major MTE events. Tim Cluess would play a couple guarantee games, but preferred the lower profile MTEs. Patino absolutely refused to play guarantee games or MTEs, just wanted as many neutral site games as possible in all the arenas around New York. You've won Iona to play a challenging schedule, I'm sure, but what does that mean for you? What can Iona fans expect regarding our schedule next year and beyond?
Yeah, I'll probably be a little bit of a mix of the three of them. Like I do believe in going playing a higher profile, like a guarantee game, but I want to go play one of the big boys. You want to go play somebody who at their place. I want to go play in an environment where it's a great environment, like a great crowd, traditional power. You don't want to go someplace and play in front of nobody. Just because they're a top 30 team or whatever. Let's go to a good place, play somebody good who's going to get us a little bit of notice, maybe get us on national TV, that kind of thing. So I'm all for playing, not a steady diet of those teams, but at least like one of those teams, I think, per year. And then it's a matter of I like playing I'm a big rivalry guy. I grew up in the Midwest, so I love when you play against other, back there it's like high school rivalries and stuff like that. Like we should be playing some of these schools around us, some of the better schools. I'm not sure I want to name names, but there's schools out there that I'd like to play on a home and home basis every year that are in the neighborhood, within a 30-minute drive. You could probably figure that out who that is. We've made overtures already about doing that because I want to go play, we'll draw. Let's go play Fordham, right? Let's go play Fordham home and home. Fordham's had a great year. Keith's a good friend of mine. Like that's a great game for both of us to play. It's people get excited about it. I love to play that game home and home. Other teams, local to us too, and good teams, successful teams. And then MTEs. Yeah, let's go play in some good MTEs. Teams will help us with our overall kind of the rankings and the computer stuff, and then the net and all that kind of thing, the quads, and play some teams that are comparable to us and above us. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we're trying to get ready for the conference season. So I think playing the most competitive schedule possible, playing in some good environments, playing some big games is going to help us. And like I talked about my press conference, we want to get ready to go try to obviously want to win, and it's hard, like to win the MAC and to go to the tournament's a hard thing to do. But once you get there, you'd like to win a game, like you'd like to go win 2 games. And so we're going to try to get ourselves in position to do that. And that's going to be a challenging schedule, without a doubt. You're not going to get any better by playing a bunch of teams you can drill and beat. That's just not going to help you from that standpoint. So, I mean, you got to play some games you can win, obviously, at some point, or some games that are favorable, but like, we're not going to play a lot of those games. But I like traditional rivalries. Let's go play at least one big team a season just to go play them and see what happens. And then, sprinkle in some games that make sense to us from a geographic standpoint.
All right. While we're on scheduling, let's talk about Hines. First of all, your impressions of Hines. And then the second part of that is, I think we saw at Fordham this year. You brought up Fordham. What it looks like when you have great student participation. Iona's has been uneven over the years. It was a little better this past year. How do you build that?
Yep.
How do you build it?
Well, first of all, I was really impressed watching the games on TV. Just the atmosphere at Hines, there was a great crowd. I think it was pretty much a sellout for most of the last half of the year. Good turnout. But like, I thought the same thing you thought. I was a little bit quiet, a little bit. It wasn't crazy. It wasn't like Fordham. I didn't see. Now Fordham was a little bit. They had people with shirts off and going crazy and throwing. Going. But that's what players want to play in front of. The Cameron Indoor Stadium, the Gonzaga, places like that where it's like a crazy environment. That's what attracts students. My son's a junior in high school. He wants to go to a place that has big time athletics. Wants to go to a place that has great crowds, great atmosphere. So I think that kind of atmosphere can help the basketball program, but also help the whole school too. So we're going to do all we can. First of all, you got to put a product out there that people want to go watch. We're going to play fast. We're going to play up tempo. We're going to play exciting stand-up brand of basketball where people enjoy watching it. But I'm going to do all we can on campus here. And I'll be surprised because every student I've walked by, and I've been on campus for 2 weeks now, and I walk around. I just ate in the cafeteria today. Like, I walk around campus all the time. Like, you'll see me here all hours of the night. Every student said hello. Every student said, "Hey, coach, can't wait for next season. Can't wait for the season." Like, I'm like, how's recruiting going? Like, they're all engaged. So
that's great.
I think we'll do all we can. I'll speak in the dining halls. I'll speak in the dorms. We'll get people excited. We'll do some pregame stuff. We'll hand out T-shirts, whatever we can do to make this the hardest place to play on the East Coast. Because listen, Hines is the kind of place where they're on top of you too. You can make that into an incredible home court advantage where it's people don't want to play there. So I think there's a lot of potential, even as good as it is now. And I appreciate that the school's done a great job making it even better. Let's try to get a little bit more crazier.
Speaking of home court advantage, obviously, as somebody who watches the MAC before this, the MAC has a neutral site for the MAC tournament. Yep. All 22 teams are there. But you're used to the NEC now, and you've seen other leagues like the American East does it, where they do it on campus. Is the MAC making a mistake, or do you think it should be special and be held in an arena?
Well, I want to be fairly careful about. I know there's been some other people in my
They'll get in trouble, yeah.
Who've been more negative about the whole thing. So I don't think there's much I can do. Like, we just signed a three-year contract to be an AC. So there's no point in me complaining about the whole thing. What I will say is, like, if you can get that going and get a good neutral site atmosphere for a tournament, that's awesome. I do love the home courts. I do. I think just being through Division III, Division II, NEC, like, you're guaranteed a great atmosphere every single game. And there's a place that's packed. People like that kind of stuff. So I know I love that, but I also can see the neutral site situation too. I do think there should be more of a reward for winning the conference. I mean, it's hard to go through 3 months of a conference and win the conference and be the champion. You should get more of a advantage going to the tournament. I do agree with that, because you put your work in, you've done what you're supposed to do. So I can see that. So yeah, I mean, that debate probably is not even worth having right now, because we're kind of locked in for the next 3 years. But I do like the home court stuff. But listen, we're going to AC. That's the plan, and that's how it's going to be. We got to figure out how to win that tournament down there on a neutral court in Atlantic City. So I know Iona travels fans well. We have a great following. So let's get as many people down there as we can and make it into a strong Iona contingent. I mean, I know when I was at Siena, for 2 years as an assistant,
yeah.
and before they were playing in Albany for those 3 years when Fran was there, and they had a pretty good success there. I also don't think it's fair to reward a team who has not won the conference by playing on their home court. I do not agree with that at all. And I've been in that situation before, so I'm not a big fan of that either.
All right. Well, Coach, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on podcast. It's the fan base is really excited, as you can tell, even by my enthusiasm just talking to you. We can't wait for next season to get here. I'm sure you're glad you have some time because you have a roster to build. But thank you for taking time out to join us here. And again, welcome to New Rochelle, and we'll stay in touch.
Awesome. Thanks, guy. I really appreciate all the fans' passion, their excitement, their enthusiasm. Trust me, I'm right there with them, and we're excited about what we're building, and we'll get there. Trust me.
Well, we believe in you. So
thanks.
All right. Thanks again for coming on. I appreciate it. And we'll catch up again down the line.
Great. Thanks, guy.
Thank you.